Now, this is a new kind of IP that we are going to cover today. And after this, we have the last IPR left, that is trade secrets. So, in two classes, we'll wind these up. And then in the last one or two classes, we'll have doubt clearance sessions and anything that, if any topic you want me to repeat. Now, why do we need to protect integrated circuits and what exactly they are, we will be discussing in the following slides. So if at the end of the PPT you have any doubts, then you ask me. In today's dynamic and competitive environment, IP rights are key elements needed to maintain an edge in the market. It is crucial that the companies understand that what can be protected and how within their respective countries. The starting point of this intellectual property was the copyright, trademarks, and the upgrowing patents that then came legislations covering industrial designs and GIs as important intellectual properties. So these are the ones that we've done that are more used and more commonly known about. With the growing technology and development, and with the growing competition to become a high tech country, a revolution in the field of information technology arrived. With the advancement of this information technology, a new branch in the field of IPR flourished called at layout designs or the semiconductor integrated circuits. Now, these are basically chips that are put in the computers that make the computers faster in and they occupy less amount of space. So the new laptops and the new computers that we have, they have smaller chips that are called integrated circuits. We'll do the meaning in the coming slides. The semiconductor integrated circuit is an integral part of every computer chip. The fifth generation computers are using very large scale integration, VLSI as they call it, where numerous transistors are accommodated on a single chip, cutting down the size of the chip and at the same time increasing its processing power significantly. So if you notice the difference between the computers that we got in the earlier years and the laptops that we have today, they're sleeker, they are smaller in size, they're more compact. And the computers that came earlier, they were not compact at all because the chips that they use were large in number. They used to occupy a lot of space. Now the new chips which have integrated circuits, they occupy less space and they increase the processing power significantly. The need to protect these are because a lot of intellect goes into the creation of these integrated circuits. So whichever engineer or company has created it, it is important that it is protected as an intellectual property so that the same chip is not infringed anywhere. So IT industry is highly competitive. It's very easy to copy each other's chips and then make your company grow on the basis of somebody else's intellectual property. So that's why this new branch was introduced in the year 2000, around 2000, 2001, so that the IT can grow at the same time protect each's intellectual property. Hence, a step was taken by various organizations to pass regulations regarding this issue. One such was the World Trade Organization, and the result was the TRIPS agreement addressing the intellectual property related issues. We've already done TRIPS in detail, we've done all the relevant provisions from copyright, trademarks, patents, etc. So, similarly, TRIPS also has provisions regarding integrated circuits from Articles 35 to 38, as you can see in the last bullet point. And the Semiconductor Integrated Circuits Layout Designs Act was passed in the year 2000 in India. This basically fulfills the obligations of TRIP under Article 35 to 38. Now, this act, for your syllabus, you only need to know the overview. You need not get into the details or the technicalities of the act. All you need to know is what a integrated circuit is and why it is a new IPR, why it needs to be protected. The basic logic that we have behind every IPR, you have to relate it with integrated circuits. You don't have to know the technicalities. Your syllabus only has the overview of the act. Legislations in India that we have regarding this IPR, the Act, the Semiconductor Integrated Circuits Layout Design Act 2000, and we have rules also which came in 2001. What is an integrated circuit? A product having transistors, circuitry elements inseparably formed on a semiconductor material, insulating material inside the semiconductor material, designed to perform an electronic circuitry function. This is all for your extra knowledge. You need not remember all this. The photo that I've put here is for reference. You can see how these integrated circuits are put in computers. International treaties to which India is a signatory. So first TRIPS and then the Treaty on Intellectual Property in respect of integrated circuits. So we have two international treaties with respect to this IPR. Now what is the procedure for application in India? First we have who is eligible to apply. Any person claiming to be the creator of a layout design who is desirous of registering it shall apply in writing to the registrar in the prescribed manner for the registration of the layout design. I've put it in bullet points because it's easier to remember like this. The date of making the application will be the date of registration. On the registration of a layout design, certificate will be issued by the registrar. If registration of a layout design is not completed within 12 months, application is considered as abandoned unless it is completed within the time specified in the notice issued by the registrar. So it will be abandoned unless, so the last bullet point is basically combined in the third one only. It's by mistake made a separate point. If registration is not completed within 12 months, application will be considered to be abandoned unless it is completed within the time specified in the notice issued by the registrar. So by default, the time period is 12 months unless the registrar notifies another time period. Then that time period can be allowed. Certain layout designs that are prohibited to be registered, they are not original. So the first rule of IP that we've done, since you've covered almost all IPs now, is novelty, originality, depending on each IP. Similarly, for layout designs, we have originality. So if it is not original, it will not be registered. If it has been commercially exploited anywhere in India or in a convention country. This means it lacks novelty. It has been priorly used or commercially exploited anywhere in India or in a convention country. Convention country means those countries that are parties to the Paris Convention, as we've already discussed multiple times. So first, not original. Second, it lacks novelty. Third, not inherently capable of being distinguishable from any other registered layout design. So it must be distinguishable. So if you see, it has all three requirements that are there in trademark, patent, and copyright. Originality belongs to copyright. Second is novelty, that belongs to patent. And capable of being distinguishable from other designs was a ground of trademark, if you remember. So it is a culmination of all the IPRs. Advertisement of application. When an application is accepted, it is to be advertised within 14 days or re-advertised at the discretion of the registrar, where after advertisement an error has been corrected or the application has been amendment or notify the correction or amendment made in the application. So basically, any correction if made or any error that has been corrected or any amendment that has been made has to be notified to the applicant. Now, why we advertise applications is to call for oppositions if there are any. So the next step is opposition to registration. Opposition is to be made within 3 months from the date of advertisement. Further grace period of 1 month is given. Prescribed fee is to be paid for the opposition. The registrar has to serve a copy of such opposition on the applicant. A counter statement is to be filed by the applicant. If not, application will be deemed to be abandoned. So if your application for integrated circuits has been opposed and you don't file a counter statement, it will be assumed that you have abandoned your application. So counter statement filing is important in this respect. This provision we did not have in most other IPRs. So like in patents, there was no provision like this that it will be abandoned if you don't reply to it. If the applicant files counter statement, the registrar shall serve a copy thereof on the person giving notice of opposition. So the counter statement's copy has to be given to the opponent. Evidence to be submitted within prescribed time to the registrar. The registrar shall give an opportunity to them to be heard if they so desire. So the opportunity of being heard will be given only if the parties ask for it. It will not be given by default. If person giving notice of opposition or an applicant sending a counter statement neither resides nor carries on business in India. Basically, both the parties are not, they don't belong to India and they don't even have any business in India. India is not their place of business. The registrar may require him to give security for the costs of proceedings. In default of such security being duly given, may treat the opposition or application, as the case may be, as abandoned. So if the security is not given, either the applicant's application or the opponent's application will be abandoned. We also have a provision of correction and amendment in the application. The registrar may permit the correction of any error, permit an amendment of the application before or after acceptance, permit correction or amendment of notice of opposition or a counter statement. So everything and anything can be corrected or amendment, obviously with the permission of the registrar. Now the first line uses the word may. That means the registrar is not bound to listen to the parties. He will see from case to case and it will be his discretion as to whether he wants to permit the correction or amendment. So it is a totally discretionary power. For how long do we get protection on integrated circuits? 10 years counted from the date of filing. So 10 years is the time period for integrated circuits. Or from the date of first commercial exploitation anywhere in India or any country, whichever is earlier. What happens when we don't get our integrated circuit registered? A person not entitled to institute proceedings to prevent the layout designs from infringement or to recover damages for the infringement of an unregistered layout designs. So the effect of non-registration is that we can't file infringement suits. So we don't have any remedy in case of non-registration. What are the rights conferred by registration? Exclusive rights to use the layout design, to obtain relief, and the rights conferred by the registrar irrespective of the fact as to whether the layout design is incorporated in an article or not. So for example, we had a provision in designs that unless and until the design has been put or applied to an article, it will not be protected. So we can't protect designs in abstract. Contrary to that, for integrated circuits, it will be protectable even if not incorporated in an article. So if you see that all IPRs that we've done have their respective rules and regulations, there is nothing uniform in any IP in relation to what they protect and what the nature of their intellectual property is. We have different rules. So for designs, it is important to put it on an article. For integrated circuits, it is not. Even if you create a new and original circuit which you've not yet applied to a computer or a mobile phone or anything, you can still apply for protection. So these are the three rights that are conferred by registration. When does infringement take place? What are the acts that constitute infringement? Reproducing the integrated circuit, importing it, selling it, or distributing for commercial purposes amounts to infringement. Of course, without the consent of the owner of the layout design. If you do any of these acts, you cause infringement of that layout design. Where such act is performed for limited purpose of scientific evaluation, analysis, research, or teaching, or where a person on the basis of scientific evaluation or analysis of a registered layout design creates another layout design which is original, same does not amount to infringement. So these are exceptions to infringement. Scientific evaluation, but limited purpose of it. Analysis, research, teaching. Now, why does the Act mention limited purposes? Because then any infringer can take the stance of scientific evaluation. It is how do you prove that I was not infringing and I was just evaluating for scientific purpose. So they have mentioned limited purpose. Now, what those limited purposes are not defined by the Act. That will be looked at by the court and any technical expert that is called, but they have mentioned it to limit the ambit of the evaluation defenses that any party can take up. Analysis, research, and teaching, we've seen in copyright also that they are not infringements, or where a person on the basis of scientific evaluation or analysis of an already protected design creates another design which is original. So he, on the basis of the scientific evaluation of someone else's design, you create your own original design. Then also you can protect it because you are taking inspiration from somebody else's design, but you're not copying it. So that is permitted. So just like in copyright, if you remember, we can take inspiration from works, but we cannot copy the work. They must be original. So here originality comes into play and not novelty because it is not new. Assignment and transmission, basically when you can transfer your rights or your protection in your layout designs. Applicant has the power to assign the layout design. Is assignment meaning you can transfer your ownership to give effectual receipts for any consideration for such assignment. So you can receive remuneration or royalty for such assignment. Now, finally, we have the penalty for infringement, imprisonment for a term which may extend to 3 years, fine not less than 50,000 and may extend to 10 lakh rupees or both. Why we have uh, like higher punishments for this IPR is because the costs and the stakes in this IPR are very high. So there are companies with turnovers going in millions and billions who have IP disputes over layout designs of integrated circuits because IT companies are very invested in the sense that they want to create smaller chips as they can and incorporate in their technologies. That's why the laptops that we have in smaller size are usually more pricey also because the chips are smaller, the IP cost is very high. The court may also direct the forfeiture of all goods and things by means of or in relation to which the infringement has been committed. So forfeiture of goods are also allowed. This depends on the court, whichever remedy the court wants to grant. Now this ends integrated circuits. Is there any doubt? Is there any part which you guys did not understand or you want me to repeat anything? Okay, so I'll upload this PPT after the class so you guys can go through it again. Also, with respect to your end semester syllabus, you can skip the first unit and the last unit. Apart from that, everything will be there. Focus more on the the criteria of protection of all IPs. That is the most important because for problem solving questions, you need to be very clear with every IP's criterias. So, is there any topic that you want me to repeat? So, you let me know in advance so that we can cover that on Thursday and Friday. You can also message me on Teams if you want any topic to be repeated. That is no problem. And please circulate this message on your groups also that first and last unit can be skipped for the end semester so that everybody knows. Okay, coming back to designs case that we had to do. Did we write the name of the case, the Gorham case, or do we have to write it? Can someone please tell me?
We wrote the name of the case, ma'am.
Okay. So this case is also part of the common observer test that we were doing. We wrote the Egyptian goddess test, and after this, you write the Gorham case. Under it, write down. The federal court held that the ordinary observer test should be the sole test for determining design infringements but in a modified form. But in a modified form. Next para. Now, infringement must be determined. Now, infringement must be determined Now write in inverted commas, in the light of prior art, in the light of prior art, by applying the ordinary observer test, by applying the ordinary observer test, through the eyes of an observer, through the eyes of an observer, familiar with the prior art, through the eyes of an observer familiar with the prior art.
Ma'am,
Observer familiar with the prior art. I'll repeat the whole point, the whole paragraph. Now, infringement must be determined, in inverted commas, in the light of prior art by applying the ordinary observer test through the eyes of an observer familiar with the prior art. Inverted commas closed. Next para. This is all part of the case only. The European Court of Justice, the European Court of Justice has clarified how to identify has clarified how to identify an informed user. Put a hyphen and write. Also highlight informed user. The European Court of Justice has clarified how to identify an informed user. Highlight informed user and put a hyphen and write. The hypothetical user of a product whose impression the hypothetical user of a product whose impression of it whose impression of it as compared to other products as compared to other products determines whether it can be protected whose impression of it compared to other products determines whether it can be protected as a registered design. Next para. A design can only be registered as a community design as a community design if among other designs if among other designs the overall impression created the overall impression created on the informed user if the overall impression created on the informed user is different from impressions created by other designs is different from impressions created by other designs. That's it for the case. Now there is a topic that I will cover today since we have time. That is the interface between copyright and designs. Now it is a very interesting interface and also the most commonly applied in courts also. One second. For this, the relevant provision that we will be covering is section 15(1)(5) of the Copyright Act. So this you guys should write. It's not very important from exam point of view, but for general knowledge is very interesting to listen to. So you can give the title Interface of Copyright and Design. Now where this interface comes into play is, as we know, we have discussed artistic works and copyright. Right. So in 2A, we had talked about artistic works that have paintings and drawings and portraits and everything protected as copyrights. On the other hand, we have another IPR called designs that are also similar in nature. They are artistic works, but they are applied to an article. So if you see, they are very similar on certain aspects. However, they belong to different intellectual properties. There is one point where they intersect, which we call as the interface between designs and copyrights, which is provided under section 15 of the Copyright Act. So this also you write down, section 15 of Copyright Act 1(5).
Ma'am, what is the title?
Interface of copyright and design. Interface of copyright and design. And under that, section 15 of Copyright Act. Now, the first aspect that section 15 talks about is copyright shall not subsist under this act in any design which is registered under the Designs Act 2000. So first aspect that it lays down is any design that is already registered under the Designs Act is not copyrightable. This is clear, it's simple and easy. The next point that it lays down, listen to this carefully. Copyright in any design which is capable of being registered under the Designs Act but has not been registered. So the first part says copyright in any design which is capable of being registered under the Designs Act but has not been registered. Meaning we have a design in our hand, it is capable of being registered in the Designs Act, it has been applied to an article, so it fulfills all the criteria. But we have not yet registered it. It is just an unregistered design. This you understand? Copyright in such design will cease as soon as the article to which the design has been applied is reproduced more than 50 times by an industrial process. So you try to understand what this says. So we have a design in our hand. It is not registered, it is unregistered, but it is capable of being registered. So it fulfills all the criteria. Now we are saying, the section is saying that in this design, the copyright that we have on the artistic part of it, it will cease to exist. It will be stopped. Copyright protection will come to an end as soon as we make more than 50 copies of that design. Why this is there is because when we make more than 50 copies, it is a benchmark set by the Copyright Act. We are entering the commercial area. Now we come out of the private or domestic uses. When we reach the commercial area of manufacturing more than 50 copies of it, we need to protect it under industrial designs and copyright will cease to exist. Why this happens is because it is applied to an article. Now, even you can have copyrighted works also of more than 50 copies. We have done like novels and films and whatnot in copyright law. But here, the design is also capable of being registered as a design under the Designs Act. We are not talking about novels or films that are reproduced n number of times. We are talking about a particular class of work, that is a design, which is also capable of being registered under the Designs Act, but it is unregistered. As soon as such design crosses 50 copies, copyright will end and we will enter the designs arena. Even though it is not registered, we will enter the designs arena, and then after making 50 copies, after crossing 50 copies, we will be registering under designs mandatorily, because it is, we are obligated by the law. So even if it is unregistered before, after crossing 50 copies, we have to get it registered. I know it's a little confusing, but still, did you guys understand this? Is there any confusion anywhere? When you read the section once, it will be more clear. So you can also open your acts right now or after the class, whatever suits, and try to understand the language of the section. So I'll make you guys write here also, but still you try to understand. And if you don't understand, you ask me in the next class also. You can also go online and read more about it to have better understanding. So where you wrote the title, Interface of Copyright and Design, section 15, Copyright Act, right? Under that, the first point, copyright shall not subsist. Copyright shall not subsist under this act. This act meaning we are talking about Copyright Act here, because we've mentioned section 15 Copyright Act. So not the Designs Act we're talking about. Copyright shall not subsist under this act in any design which is registered under the Designs Act 2000. Copyright shall not subsist under this act in any design which is registered under the Designs Act 2000. Second point, copyright in any design which is capable of being registered under the Designs Act but has not been so registered shall cease, CEASE, cease as soon as, shall cease as soon as any article to which the design has been applied, an article to which the design has been applied is reproduced more than 50 times, and highlight 50 times, is reproduced more than 50 times by an industrial process by the owner of copyright. Has been reproduced more than 50 times by an industrial process by the owner of copyright. Now there is a case under this interface which is like a landmark judgment. So you write the name and the detail of it we'll write tomorrow. I'll write the name in the chat box. Please write down the name of the case from the chat box and tomorrow we'll write what was held under it. Okay, after completing this case, tomorrow we will cover trade secrets, which is our last kind of intellectual property. And I'll see if I have to use a PPT or make you guys write about it because that is more important than integrated circuits. From your end semester point of view, please inform everybody that the first and last units are to be excluded and the rest everything has to be covered. And I have not left any IP, so every IP is important. So don't think that one IP is less important than the other. Just the integrated circuits one is a little less important. So you can you just have to know the overview of the act. Is there any doubt? Okay, then I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.